nothing is more precious than the feeling of a full stomach. Those simple yet powerful words echo the core of our shared humanity. As we rush through our busy lives, it's easy to forget that for some, the simple act of eating a meal or sleeping in a warm bed is not a given, but a struggle. Today, I find myself thinking about those whose hunger goes unnoticed and about the tireless efforts of individuals and organizations who make it their mission to ensure that no one in their community goes to bed hungry or out in the cold. It's a reminder that every day we have the chance to give more than we take, to reach out and support those who need it most. Let's shine a light on the incredible work happening all around us. People coming together, hearts opening, and hands reaching out to make a difference today on Hometown. Some days I catch myself saying, tomorrow I'll get ahead of everything, take care of that mountain of work, finally clean out the garage, or catch up with an old friend. We all have our to-do lists filled with things we think we'll tackle once the storm of daily life calms down. But we all know the truth. Life doesn't always slow down. Unexpected challenges arise, responsibilities multiply, and before we know it, we're navigating a reality we didn't see coming. For many, those challenges mean struggling to make ends meet. They're facing food insecurity or homelessness, a reality that too many people deal with every day. Yet in the midst of this struggle, there is hope. Organizations are on the front lines, working to put food on tables, offer safe havens, and restore dignity to those who need it most. And it's in those efforts where compassion meets action that we find a deeper meaning in the word community. Today, we meet the heroes, those who give their time and resources to fight hunger, to provide food, and to offer something even more vital, hope. Together, we'll explore the transformative power of food pantries, the warmth of shelter, and how, as a community, we can work to make sure no one has to go to bed hungry. So come with us as we learn how generosity is the true sustenance we all need, an essential ingredient in the remarkable story of us.
Jordan Green, thank you so much for having us here at Hometown. Where are we?
We are at the Walla Walla Alliance for the Homeless Sleep Center in Walla Walla.
And we're very close to the penitentiary. And
Indeed.
How far from downtown?
I think we're about a mile and a half kind of from the core of downtown, so pretty close, but also, far enough away, we've got quiet neighbors.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that helps our viewers have some idea and perspective of where we are.
Indeed.
So Jordan, tell us about this location and where it has been throughout town.
Yeah.
And the importance of this location. Homelessness is on the rise in our country, and it also affects us here in Walla Walla, which is the
Indeed.
reason for the sleep center here.
Yeah, so the Walla Walla Alliance for the Homeless set out to kind of help address some of this need. The first iteration, some people who have been around a few years will remember, was kind of a tent encampment near the Memorial Golf Course. And that was just for that first winter. And it was very tough and pretty chaotic. But it was a good launching point for the work that we're doing now. We moved to a smaller site that the city had located at their maintenance lot, which allowed us to build these Conestoga huts that you see behind us here, and kind of helped us get our footing into what the future would look like. So we were there for a while and then moved here, I think, right around 6 years ago now. And this site is a piece of property that the city owns, the city of Walla Walla owns. They did a land sale and purchase to get this piece of property because it really suited the needs that we had for a shelter here, and located us in a place that was close enough to local services and transportation, but also far enough away that it suits the needs of the camp quite well.
Well, and you mentioned the huts. How many are here?
Yeah, so we have 38 of the Conestoga huts. So these huts were designed by an organization out of Eugene, Oregon called Community Supported Shelters. And they really were kind of the genesis to this project. They had only used them kind of in small scale projects in the Willamette Valley initially. So this was one of, I think, the largest projects to use this style of shelter. So we have 38 of them here on site. Initially there were 30, but as we moved to this site, we've added some additional.
Yeah, the need always grows.
The need always grows, indeed.
And as we talk about homelessness, what are you hearing from some of your residents here who come and need the services here at the Sleep Center?
Yeah, you know, it's a broad thing, but you know, certainly I think we see people from all walks and backgrounds. It would seem that you know, maybe the most significant and consistent factor we see is just people who have walked through and grown up in generational poverty, because people, whether or not they have the support networks to catch them when things go wrong in life, when people don't have that person that can spare $100 to help pay rent or fill a gas tank or fix a car so you can get to a job, it just creates this this slippery slope to homelessness, unfortunately, and that's a big part of it. Of course, you know, we certainly see issues of behavioral health struggles and substance use, of course, too, like you do in most places. But the percentage of people who struggle with those things here versus the general population is not as far different as I think people think that it is.
Ah, so we have kind of a stigma against that.
For sure, and beyond that, you know, in a lot of ways, it's kind of a chicken or the egg situation, in that many of those things begin after homelessness rather than being the cause of homelessness, because you know, many of those things can be used as coping mechanisms to survive this life, whether it being a way to connect and find community, or a way to stay awake and survive a really difficult situation. You know, when you're living homeless, it's just a different way of having to view the world. We don't get to think about what the future holds. We get to think about survival. And when you spend your entire life just focused on survival, it just allows no space for growth and anything.
Well, and that's good for us to know here in Walla Walla. It's good for us to know about this. That's why at Hometown we're wanting to highlight this. And this isn't something that was in your background, was it?
No, not exactly, no. I came up into my career fixing cars and eventually running organizations that fix and sell cars. But it trained me well in how to manage a business and how to interact with people and how to care for people. And then also some time caring for people and you know, in a faith background as well. And so this was an opportunity to kind of bring all of those together in one place, and just seeing a rising need in our community. It's exciting to get to be a part of doing this in a community where, you know, Walla Walla is very much, you know, on the forefront of a lot of the work that we're doing in the social services kind of sphere. You know, we as a community, there are undeniable gaps in services here, but when you look at a community like Walla Walla of, you know, roughly 40,000 people, and one that's not exactly surrounded by a large urban area, we have an incredibly diverse network of service providers here, and that's what makes this all work. You know, we do this, but part of our success really comes from all of the different service providers being able to come here and provide services for the people that need it. The general faith communities around the community that come in and provide meals and volunteer hours. You know, we have a staff of 8 people currently, but we still rely on a ton of volunteer help. We've accrued about 6,500 hours in volunteer hours already this year to make this all work. And that allows us to shelter roughly 65 people a night, which is an incredible thing.
Absolutely. So the cities help the faith-based communities, and so there is hope where we're standing right here.
Indeed.
And you were going to give us a tour about on another part of the campus here. So
for sure,
yeah, let's go take a peek.
Absolutely, let's do it.
So the pallet houses, is that what you said?
Pallet shelters.
Pallet shelters. So there's heat inside. There's a air conditioner.
Yep.
And then someone can be here. Remind me again how long they can be.
They can be here 6 months initially, and then they also can have a second 6-month term if they've managed to meet kind of all the requirements through that first one.
Okay.
And so the cool thing about pallet shelters is these are prefabricated and they come in pieces. So all 10 of these units were assembled on site in one day.
Okay, so the
by
slab
2 people.
the slab was poured, and all right, well, let's take a peek and go inside. Well, this is hopeful for someone who is in the sleep center.
Indeed.
And then they're transitioning here. Okay, so here we have refrigerator, microwave, and the heater, air conditioner, and then
basic shelving, and there's beds on both sides, so
Okay.
they can be double occupancy or they could be single.
okay.
One of the things we found for a lot of people is the idea of being housed in something more permanent was fairly demotivating because they've been through that, they've had struggles, it hasn't worked, and they've ended up back at the shelter. So our hope with these was really that this would be something that seemed obtainable, so that once they get here, and then the requirements kind of with the engagement and the kind of disciplines that go along with that, kind of create space for hope to be built up again.
Yes.
Once you've got that hope, then you can start making traction, start building up some steam, and getting into the community into a more permanent situation.
So Jordan, the mental health aspect of this, we were talking a little bit earlier of the hope. This gives someone hope when they are then responsible for the requirements to be here and
For
then
sure.
transitioning on.
Yep, and for many people, some of the goals they might set have a lot to do with those mental health issues and things that they may need to be supported in. So this kind of gives that opportunity to step into something that might have seemed uncomfortable or scary and gets them connected with the many services here in this community. The behavioral health services are one of those that just make a huge impact here in Walla Walla. And having all of those pieces together really is a big part of success once you get out of life in the shelter. And that's really the whole point of this of the transitional side is we're trying to lay those foundations and give people the tools they need to be able to be successful as they leave.
Right. Well, and let's step out here, and I have another question that I'd like to ask you. As people are seeing all of this, I'm sure everybody's going, okay, this is really great, but how is this funded?
Absolutely. So we have a fairly diverse set of funders that we work with. We do receive some funding from the city of Walla Walla. They also own the property here, as we mentioned, and so that allows us to keep our costs down. They pay for the utility and some of the overnight security. We receive funding through the Department of Health through Walla Walla County. Initially, that was COVID response funding and has kind of transitioned into some longer term things that we're working with. We also, of course, do a couple of major fundraisers a year, and we work at writing grants and working with local foundations as well to try and fund the gaps.
Okay. Obviously, you're a nonprofit organization.
Indeed, we are a 501c3.
And website, where can people make a donation?
Yeah,2ah.org is the easiest way to get there. We certainly take donations online. We're a part of a couple of fundraisers each year in the spring and the fall as well, and so there's always things going on in the community that way.
And the website for the sleep center is
the w2ah.org.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. And you have a very nice website. And
yeah, not too bad.
Well, and thank you for what you do. And yeah, from cars to here, and thank you for making our hometown extra special for so many people who I can already see are very glad to be here. So thank you.
We appreciate you coming.
Thanks.
Paul, I'm so happy to be talking with you today. We're going to talk about Eden's Pantry. You're a pastor at Walla Walla University Church, and that's one of the things that church works on. What is it?
Well, as you might guess, we were reading our Bible, and Matthew 25, verse 35 says, "When I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was not from here," I would use in modern language, "when I'm not from here, you brought me and included me in." And when we read that, we said, how can we be of help in this area? And we started realizing that right there on the Walla Walla University campus are students that say, we feel food insecure. It surprised us.
Yes.
Really did. In fact, 45% of the student body said, in some way, I don't feel like I get enough to eat. And eating well helps them learn well. And that's why they're there. And you might scratch your head and you say, why is that the case? I mean, this is a private university. Lots of money is spent to go to school there. Well, that's true. But what happens is they get grants and loans, and they're able to take care of a lot of the expenses. But in one of the ways that really is important to them, they're challenged because they don't have enough food. So we said, we want to help. We want to do something to make that better.
How do students receive something from you through Eden's Pantry?
Well, they find out through the website of the university and through other communication that we share with students, saying, if you need food, give us a time in which you can come by, and they go into an app and they make an appointment, and it's a 5-minute appointment, and they come in and they can choose from items that are available to them.
Oh, that's great. Where do you store all of this?
Well, of all things, we had a pastor's office that we weren't using, and we said, let's take those bookshelves and make them shelves where there are cans of food and items and packages that they can look through, and there's usually a little sign there, say 1 of these, 2 of these, and they can pick and choose. There's a refrigerator now in that space, and other ways that they can grab items, put it in a bag, they weigh it, there's a certain amount that they can take every visit, and they're able then to have some food just for what their immediate needs are. They can't kind of store up for weeks and months.
Sure.
It's really just something
They don't have room
temporary.
anyway in their dorm room.
Exactly
to store it up.
right. Exactly right. Yeah.
That is so great. So ministries like this certainly have some stories that come out of them.
Yes.
You know, tell me a story.
Yeah. I want to tell you specific stories, but Linnell, it's important to us that we really care for the identity of people who come.
Absolutely. Sure. Understood.
So we're seeing some themes. Can I tell you some themes
That
we're
would
seeing?
be great.
Right? That's what we're noticing. This is a ministry to the introverts. People who say, I know I have a meal plan over at the cafeteria, but there are hundreds of people over there. And I'm overwhelmed by going to that space. And so I want to have something that I can have in my room. So they can have some things from the cafeteria, but they usually take the minimum food plan, and they're wanting things to supplement what's there. And that's what we're about. We're not there to kind of do whole menus for people and all of that. It's really just to kind of help add to what's there. So we have plenty of introverts, and you can see them coming in, right? They're just kind of looking around.
Yes.
And there are several people waiting for their appointments. I'll just step over here. Introverts.
Yes.
That's one group of people. Second is we have a number of international students who have
I
come
was hoping
to
you were going to mention
school
that.
here,
Yes.
right? And can you imagine coming here and saying, where are the stores and where is food like I'm used to? And understanding the currency and all of those things. It's a great place for the international students to come. And international students aren't always able to leave during the breaks.
Yes, so that leaves them with no cafeteria.
Right, right. And other places. And so we can help them at those times. So it's international students. That's the second group.
Yeah.
The third group are students I would categorize as they're trying to figure out their independence. And they have been cared for by mom and dad at home, and things have been given to them, and now it's time to kind of sprout their wings. And they come to campus and they're trying to figure out, where's my place and what do I do? And what do I want? And so they're choosing sometimes to say, I just need some food in my room as I'm kind of figuring this all out.
Yes.
We have some early marrieds who are just pinching pennies who sometimes show up. And it's important for us to be careful and not judge the reasons why people come. It's just to say, back to the text, if you're hungry, we want to give you something to eat. If you're thirsty, we want to give you something to drink. And we do our best to not judge the reasons why or correct the life that they have. It's really to say, if you feel hungry, we want to help you.
I'm just thinking about how this is beneficial to our community. It's beneficial to the campus. It's beneficial actually to the congregation.
Absolutely.
How does that work? What kind of experience reward is there for the congregation?
It's because people have the opportunity to help by donating in several ways. They can go to Andy's Market is the primary place where people can donate. Right there through the doors where you leave, there's a cart right there. And we've got to get better at our signage that's there. And if you buy a number of things and maybe take something out of your cart, you can put it right there. We pick those items up every week. So that's a great way that the community can help us. and then direct donations, because not always do we get everything donated that we need or is what's being preferred by the students. And so we do some buying from the stores here in the Valley. And
You do your buying locally.
we do it
Yeah.
locally, absolutely.
Mhm. So people can give cash gifts essentially, and then you can fill in the holes that you need.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, we say, if you give to buy food, that's just what we're using it for.
Yes.
And that really appeals to people. They say, we like that. So they can donate the actual food items, or they can donate money to help make that happen.
Very good.
Yeah.
This sounds like just a real rewarding experience for everybody that's involved with it, actually, and meeting such an important need.
Yes. Yes. For which we're grateful to have the opportunity to be centrally involved in that. And collaborative then with the other food banks, right?
Yes.
And saying, here's a family that's come to us. Really what our niche is, can we refer them to you? So that kind of collaborative is important for us as well, because we feel like we're connected to our community. And together, we're not siloed.
Yes.
We are talking to each other. We're helping each other. And I'm grateful to those who step right up. We have several great volunteers who show up on a regular basis, who make sure the food gets from the different locations to our location. They're there on the shelves. They're facing out. It looks like a place to shop.
Yes.
It's not disorganized. It really has some order. For that, we're grateful. And those people volunteer their time. It's the student workers that get paid.
And that's a blessing too for them. Gives them a job.
Absolutely, exactly, and it helps them as well.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win all the way around, it seems to me.
Totally. Well, Paul, it's been great to hear more about it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Crew, can we get some wind?
In a world often focused on instant gratification, it's easy to overlook the real power of slow, consistent action, like the steady hand of a volunteer passing out meals, or the quiet moments spent listening to someone's story while they wait for a warm plate of food or a place to sleep. These small acts create ripples of change, building up the foundation of hope in our communities. And yet the impact of these efforts extends far beyond the immediate. It's not just about food or a home. It's about dignity, about restoring a sense of belonging to those who may feel forgotten. The Bible reminds us in Isaiah 58:10, "If you pour yourself out for the hungry and satisfy the desire of the afflicted, then shall your light rise in the darkness." There is something profoundly beautiful about the act of giving, and when we come together as a community, there is no hunger too great to tackle. I'll leave you with the words of famous chef Jose Andres, who said, "Food is a universal language that brings people together, and when you feed someone, you're feeding their soul." Today, as we reflect on the stories we've heard and the hands that are reaching out in service, I feel deeply moved by the power of our shared responsibility. I'll take a moment to reflect, to appreciate the abundance we have, and think about how we can share that with others. I hope you will too. I'll see you next week on our next episode of Hometown. Do you love uplifting stories of people in our community as much as we do? When you give a gift, you make local, uplifting, community-focused programming like Hometown possible. To find out how, just use the QR code or visit our website at the link in our bio. And don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more great stories about our valley.